I'm Thorin, also known as the Esports Historian, here exclusively for Esportsbet, the industry's leading crypto odds matrix, to help you evaluate the outright odds for the winner of Blast Fall Finals. So obviously in CS2, we've got the Blast Fall Finals coming up. The groups were already played, so we know the 8 teams at the finals. And obviously the outright odds is just the winner of the tournament. We're not going for how does someone make the final, the semi. This is just who's going to win it. Now, if you haven't already, you can get the classic first-time deposit bonus for Esportsbet of 50% up to 100 USDT. And if you don't have any crypto, you can actually get their ESC, the esports coin, for free via a number of social campaigns. So you can go follow their Twitter on x.com, which is at esportsbet. You can follow them on Instagram, esportsbet.io, and you can go and join their Discord, discord.gg/esportsbet. The first 2 will each get you 5,000 ESC. The last one will get you 10,000. You can do all 3 and get 20,000 if you want. Just go message the customer support on the website or the mod mill on Discord when you've done any or all of those promotions, and they will credit your account accordingly. Then you can make bets and predictions with the esports coin. And by the way, check out the website. It can also be exchanged and converted into USDT as a cryptocurrency. So as always, I'm going to first of all quickly show you how do you even find out where the outright odds tournaments are on the website. So the main issue here is that you don't do the usual approach. So watch. What happens is, when I want to make a bet in esports, I go to esports bet part, I pick my currency. So in this case, I'm picking USDT. And then once it loads up, obviously, normally for League of Legends bets, I go straight here, don't I? The Game Hall, Esports, I go LOL, and I see all the matchups there. Don't go up there. That's just for the individual bets and the props and all that sort of thing. What you do is you go all the way down, and it's got its own section called Outright. So I go all the way down here, and I've got one over here where it tells me I've got there the Blast Premier Fall Final and closing in a couple of days. So I'm going to open that. And then, because they're all on this side, I'm just going to move it over a second. And then on the right, you can see all the selections I have and the odds for who is going to be the outright winner of this tournament. Now, a few things to mention at the beginning here. So first things first, this is CS2. So even though we can sort of take CSGO as a guide, you have seen some of the results be different enough in CS2. Like, for example, I would say complexity was significantly better than they ever were in CSGO. Not just because Elige popped off, but in general as a team, people like JT and Floppy were playing way above the level you normally expect. Then you've had, I would say, Zero was shockingly bad for Vitality in sort of the opener that they had. Some of the teams out there, let's say maybe Mouse is pretty good. Some of the other squads still maybe haven't, like, who really knows when Na'Vi has the real lineup, how they're going to do, right? So I actually think this is a way more up in the air event than people realise. The only team that feels like a lock to win is FaZe Clan, because, spoiler, they've won all 3 tournaments that have been in CS2 so far, 2 LANs and an online tournament. And they're on that, 14, 15 series match winning streak, right? They just lost the opener I am Sydney to Vitality in the BO1 or wherever it was, and then Game Allegiant, and then after that they came back and just ran through everyone and then went to the final, won it, and they haven't lost the series since. So first things first, the only safe bet here is FaZe Clan for my money. I mean, right now Rops looks like the best CS2 player. Carrigan's looks like he's calling an awesome game, and actually they're killing it in MR12 right now. They have a load of new smokes. They even looks like they're revitalized in terms of the map pool compared to some of the other teams. Right now, everything does point to FaZe Clan to win the tournament. Obviously, no one really knows, because apparently I'm heard Twists will be going to Liquid. No one knows after that the future of the roster, but it hasn't affected them so far. Right now, it looks like they're just loving life. It's not an enormous tournament, let's face it, a Blast. It's not the same as a Kelowna Academy, but it is the biggest CS2 tournament so far, I would say. Like Sydney, debatable, but obviously you look at some of the actual teams here. There's a couple of good teams here that are pretty good. So first and foremost, I don't hate a FaZe bet. 2.5 odds, I think, is pretty fair. I actually think if you look at the teams here, that's not even terrible. Like, obviously, they're not a lock to necessarily win. They don't have the one superstar that carries all the time, even though Rops has been amazing so far in CS2, at least from the CSGO form. So I actually think this is not bad. 2.5 odds, pretty good to go for that. After that, you have Vitality. Now, obviously, you have this whole thing where it's like, well, what's going on here? Vitality's got changes going on and all that jazz, right? Well, I still think they are a fairly priced team. Remember, no one knows yet how ZywOo's playing, but we're assuming he's going to become an extremely good player in CS2. I know the AWP's been nerfed, but he's a very good rifle player too. So I think actually at 4.0 odds, not a bad shout here if you take a gamble on vitality. Now, you are going along the lines of like, you don't really know that they're going to be that awesome, but for 4 odds, I don't mind that actually. Obviously, I'd like to gamble on the idea that ZywOo can pop off and these win the whole event outright. I think it's pretty good. I think these are where you get the really juicy odds. These 3 here are incredibly juicy for me. Cloud9, Na'Vi, and Complexity. This is really where I would be looking. I think this is the meat and potatoes right here because, look, you can get a very nice, almost sure win from FaZe, but it's only 2.5 odds. If you want a nice little gamble where if you win, you're going to get a really big multiplier, this is between 6 and 7. So first things first, Cloud9. Obviously, the problem is that whole thing of like, Shiro isn't in the lineup, but now they've got Boomich. Like, if they can ever get together, by the way, the Shiro angle doesn't even kill the team dead. This team could be an amazing just rifle team. I could actually see Boomich's aggressive style being quite interesting to raise the tempo and the pace of the team. The Nafani approach, even though he himself was aggressive, was a bit slower in terms of how they played the game. Look, I don't think they should win this event. I think it is a problem to not have a primary op if you want to be the best team in the world. But if you want to win a one-off LAN with some dodgy-ass rosters, a Monster Mania in the background, a brand new game, and you only have to win a few series to do it, they could do that. Like, for 6.25 odds, I think that's even pretty nice. Like, I would really consider that. I know these players as a group haven't won much recently, but I would take this one on board, especially, obviously, if you think someone like, say, an Electronic's going to pop off harder, or you think people like Perfecto are going to play a great game. I think it's very plausible this team's a dark horse to win. Then the other 2, of the 3, I actually would have put Complexity last. I think they're accurately rated there. 7.142. Now, with that said, let's just be straight up. True, Elise was playing really high-level CS. Like almost, it felt like throwback to 2019 levels at IEM Sydney. But with that said, they almost won that event. Like, it was incredibly close to them winning that event. And by the way, there was a lot of FaZe players popping off at that particular LAN. The previous LAN, that wasn't as big a deal. CAC, some of their players didn't play that great. Everyone popped off in Sydney. So actually, there's a world where Complexity did win Sydney, and Elise would have been the MVP of the whole tournament. So I actually don't hate this as a dark horse pick. The problem I have is just this. I don't really buy that it can happen again. Like, I don't think the JT guy can frag as well as he did. I expect Floppy to not be as good. I think even Elise, even if he's good, won't be as good as he was there. So I just expect them to not win the event. I mean, they didn't win Sydney. I just don't think they will here. I think as a crazy outsider, though, with 7.142 odds, if you're like an NA fan, you just love these players, that's going to be a fun little sweat, right? There's a real world where this team could be in the final or the semi-finals and could take whoever wins it close. Why couldn't they play a FaZe clan close as they did in Sydney? Why couldn't they play like, I mean, by the way, there's a world where they could just in theory beat all the other teams straight up. I just don't know if they can beat enough of them to win the tournament. Now, the one in the middle is actually where I'm going to get cheeky and put my bet. 6.666 for Na'Vi. Now, obviously, there's no simple in theory, right? We've got wonderful in instead, right? Normally, I will say, I am usually going off simple hype, Alexi B hype. These are people I do think are mega at the game, and I think actually when they're underpriced like this, I think they can do more. The real reason I'm betting this one as my pick is this. The odds are still high enough. Look, it's not going to happen. It's most likely to be FaZe Clan. But if someone else does win, I actually think Na'Vi's right in there with anyone else, any second, third, fourth team that's out there. And one of the reasons why is this. I already know Wonderful's really good. I've actually seen him play even at the major level and even at the tier 1 LAN level. And I've seen he already looks good. He really is just someone who's just like a fabulous player who only taken a year or two and he's gotten better every single year. And actually, he's not prime simple. He's not simple from even last year. But actually, if you can't get that, he's about the next best thing. He's even Ukrainian. He's even a sniper. So I think he can walk in this team and frag out at this like semi-scuff blast and give him a real chance and potentially be the MVP. Then you look, Bit's playing well. I actually think Blade will be able to work quite well with Wonderful. GL frags actually look pretty fucking good when he didn't have simple at that tournament. The Immer thing still has to be fixed, yes, but Alexi B, I've told you, he's mustard as an IGL. I think this team can really fuck around and actually end up winning this. So that's why I'm taking that. I think these are nice cheeky odds. Then when you go down, do not get tricked. Remember, Heroic has lost essentially their best players. They've still got Cadian, but like, there's no miracle win here. Like, if they could win this, like, It would be so insane because, like, Dupree, look, actually looked good so far in CS2, but looked semi-washed at the end of CSGO. Cadian, in theory, look, he's a legit professional. I believe he'll try properly. But it's not the same as it really being your team going forward. This is the last hurrah, right? Then you look at some of the others. I can imagine someone like Tessa's being a bit bummed out with how it's all gone out. And then you look at the other players they're bringing in, like, this team's just not going to do it, is it? Like, I don't care if it's 11 odds. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, the joke is, you've got a better chance of bloody Astralis winning it. And they're not going to do it because, like, they're just fundamentally not a well IGL'd enough team. And they've got issues with players like Borup is just a not very good player. He's washed, let's be real. And he never really was that great in the first place. He never made it to tier 2, from tier 2 to tier 1, back when he was on, like, the Tricks of the world, etc. He was basically the guy where, like, they gave him the chance to go up into a different heroic lineup, and he was just whatever. So I just don't buy him. By the way, the Boz guy, he might be all right in the future, but he isn't that good yet. So the problem there is, I don't care how well Blame F and Device frag out. We just saw Blame F, Device, and Stair all frag out hard, and it still couldn't even get Astralis to the final or win them that last land. So I don't care. Look, I actually don't hate it because of the odds, 12.5. If you want a really nuts dark horse pick, I mean, I guess in theory they're on home soil, Rail Arena, blah, blah, blah. The problem is, like, and the other angle would be, in theory, this is a dead lineup, right? Because as far as we know, when the deal gets done, Yabby and Stown will come in and replace two of these players. No one knows yet which out of Stair, Borup and Boz. The assumption, I would assume personally, that obviously you're just going to boot out Boz, maybe Borup. That would be the picks, I would guess. And you've got the last one, and I would definitely not suggest this one. I think this is terrible, actually, which is NIP. NIP just lost their IGL. They look like a mess right now. They've never gotten it going. All the players, quite frankly, look worse than their name value, config, brawl, and all this. None of them look that good. So, like, 25 to us the odds. I don't even know if that's high enough. I think it should maybe be like 50 or 100 to 1 because I just don't think it can happen. So the interesting thing about the odds here is I actually feel like they sort of squash a bit in the middle. So what I like is this. I really like FaZe 2.5 to win. If you think FaZe is legit, there's a good chance they'll win. You still have great odds. Vitality isn't bad. I just think you gamble on a lot of factors there. I actually think you should pick one of these three. That would be my pick, obviously. Make your own choice. You're the responsible one. But my expert advice would be, I think this is where the value is. It's in the Cloud9, Na'Vi and Col angle. Find one of those that you think is the best. Pick it. I think the odds are spicy enough. If you want to get really nuts, maybe go for Astralis down here. That's it. I think anything else, this is way too bad. And I think these ones actually, that's just not quite good enough overall for like the certainty of it. I would want them to be like the old Vitality where I knew who was a lock to be like third best player at worst in the tournament. I don't know that you can say that right now. So there you go. Those are the outright odds. Don't forget, you can get free ESC using those social promotions, as I said before. Also, if you've never done any kind of crypto deposit or bets in general on the site, you can choose to do instead a risk-free first-time bet if you've never actually put any crypto on. So what you do is you make your bet, and then if you lose the bet, go and message the customer support or the mod mail on Discord, tell them you lost the bet, and they will credit your account up to 100 USDT. Obviously, for that type, like if you wanted to do it here, for example, as your first ever bet, I'd say take one of those cheeky 6 to 7 multipliers. That way, if you lose, you get it back anyway the first time stake, and then if you win, you'll get 6 or 7 times the amount that you put on, or up to 100 USDT in this particular case.